All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Namo Vishnu Ganaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tera Swami Namini. Namaste Krishna Ganaya Prabhupada Siddhartha Namaste Guru Karma Shakti Bhakti Tera Namini. Narayana Namaste Cha Narom Chevam Narotamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashta Prayesva Bhatvesu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavato Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate
Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Morning, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So this morning, the text is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3. It's entitled The Status Quo. Chapter 1 is questions by Vidura, and text 16. Swayam Danur Avari Nidyamayam. I'll change it to Swayam Danur Dwari Nidayamayam.
I think we did yesterday.
Say it again.
I think we did this yesterday.
When I looked at the schedule for preaching, my name was for this particular text. So that's why I prepared for that.
Okay.
It's okay. That's okay. I can change it. Is anybody else was on yesterday that knew we did this? You did this one?
Yeah, it was on yesterday.
Looks like we did yesterday.
You did yesterday. Okay.
17.
So we can go to 17 then.
Yeah.
Yeah, Prakatena Kayamanani. Let's look out there.
Yeah. All right. Okay. No problem. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1, so the same thing. Status quo for the title for Canto 3. Questions by Vidura. That's for Chapter 1. And now we're doing text 17. Sanigata Korava Punya Labdo Gajahyav Gajafayat Teta Pada Padani Anvakramat Punya Chikirsayovyam Adishtito Yani Sahasamuti Sanirgata Korava Punya Labdo Gajahyavat Gajatvavat Teta Pada Padani Anvakramat Punya Chikirsayovyam Adishtito Yani Sahastramuti Sanirgata Korava Punya Labdo Gajavayat Teta Pada Padani Anvakramat Punya Chikirsayovyam Adishtito Yani Sahastramuti. Hare Krishna. Anyone that wants to chant can do that now? Hare Krishna.
Sanirgata kurva punya labdo Gajahwayatitha pada padani Anva kramat punya chikrisha yorvayam Adhishtito yani Sahasramurti. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Hare
Anyone
Krishna.
else?
Hare Krishna. Sanirgata Kaurava Punya Labdo Gaja Havayat Tirat Pada Padani Anvakramat Punya Chikirshayorvayam Adhishtito Yani Sahasramurtihi. Hare Krishna.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Sane
Anyone else? Yeah, okay, sorry.
Haribo Sanirgata Kaurava Punya Labdho Gaja Havaya Tirtha Pada Padani Anvakramat Punya Chikirshayorvyam Adhisthito Yani Sahasramurtihi.
Yeah. Anyone else? Okay, so I'll scroll up. We do word for word. Get rid of this thing here. Okay, good. Word for word. Sa he Vidura. Nirigata after having quit. Kaurava, the Kuru dynasty. Punya, piety. Labdha, so achieved. Gaja Apvayat from Hastinapur. Tetapada of the Supreme Lord. Padani, pilgrimages. Anvakrat took shelter. Punya, piety. Chikeshaya, desiring so. Urvyam of high grade. Adhisthita, situated. Yani, all those. Sahasra, thousands. Murti, forms. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. By his piety, Vidura achieved the advantages of the pious Kauravas. After leaving Hastinapur, he took shelter of many pilgrimage places, which are the Lord's lotus feet, with a desire to gain a high order of pious life. He traveled to holy places where thousands of transcendental forms of the Lord are situated. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Vidura was undoubtedly a highly elevated, pious soul. Otherwise, he would not have taken his birth in the Kaurava family. To have a high parentage, to possess wealth, to be highly learned, and to have a great personal beauty are all due to past pious acts. But such pious possessions are not sufficient for obtaining the grace of the Lord and being engaged in his transcendental loving service. Vidura considered himself less pious, and therefore he decided to travel to all the great places of pilgrimage in the world in order to achieve greater piety and advance nearer to the Lord. At that time, Lord Krishna was personally present in the world, and Vidura could have at once approached him directly, but he did not do so because he was not sufficiently freed from sin. One cannot be 100% devoted to the Lord unless and until he is completely freed from all effects of sin. Vidura was conscious that by the association of the diplomatic, the Dhritarashtra, and the Duryodhana, he had lost his piety and was therefore not fit to associate at once with the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 7, knowledge of the absolute, this is confirmed in the following verse. Yesham tantagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dvandva moha nirmukta bhajante mam vida vrata. Persons who are sinful asuras, like Kansa and Jarasan, cannot think of Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth. Only those who are pure devotees, those who follow the regulated principles of religious life as prescribed in the scriptures, are able to engage themselves in Karma Yoga and then Jnana Yoga, and thereafter by pure meditation, understand pure consciousness. When God consciousness is developed, one can take advantage of the association of pure devotees. Sorry. Syan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Teta Nishevanat. One is able to associate with the Lord even during the existence of this life. Places of pilgrimages are meant for eradicating the sins of the pilgrims, and they are distributed all over the universe just to give facility to all concerned for attaining pure existence and God realization. One should not be satisfied, however, merely by visiting the places of pilgrimage and performing one's prescribed duties. He should be eager to meet the great souls who are already there, engaged in the service of the Lord. In each and every place of pilgrimage, the Lord is present in his various transcendental forms. These forms are called Achamurtis, or forms of the Lord which can easily be appreciated by the common man. The Lord is transcendental to our mundane senses. He cannot be seen with our present eyes, nor can he be heard with our present ears. To the degree that we have entered into the service of the Lord, or to the proportion that our lives are freed from sins, we can perceive the Lord. But even though we are not free from sins, the Lord is kind enough to allow us the facility of seeing him in his Achamurtis in the temple. The Lord is all-powerful, and therefore he's able to accept our service by presentation of his archer form. No one, therefore, should foolishly think the archer in the temple to be an idol. Such an Achamurti is not an idol, but the Lord himself. And to the proportion that one is free from sins, he is able to know the significance of the Achamurti. The guidance of a pure devotee is therefore always required. In the land of Bharat there are many hundreds and thousands of places of pilgrimage, distributed all over the country. And by traditional practice, the common man visits such holy places during all seasons of the year. Some of the archer representations of the Lord situated in places of pilgrimage are mentioned herewith. The Lord is present at Mathura, the birthplace of Lord Krishna, as Adi Keshava. The Lord is present at Puri, Orissa, as Lord Jagannath, also known as Purushottam. He is present at Allahabad, Prayag, as Bindu Madhava. At Mandara Hill, he is present as Madhusudan. In Anandaranya, he is known as Vasudev, Padmanabh, and Janardhan. At Vishnukanchi, he is known as Vishnu, and at Mayapur, he is known as Hari. There are millions and billions of such archer forms of the Lord distributed all over the universe. All these Achamurtis are summarized in Chaitanya Charitamrita by the following words. Sarvata Prakash Tandra Bhakti Sukadite Jagatera Adharma Nasi Dharma Shapite. The Lord has so distributed himself all over the universe just to give pleasure to the devotees, to give the common man facility to eradicate his sins, and to establish religious principles in the world. Oma Gyanati Virandasya Gyana Ganashalakaya Chakshu Amritam Dina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Dina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadama Mridati Swapadatikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostite Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Paramami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhishcha Kripa Sindhubhe Eva Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivachari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prestaya, Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirveshesha Sunyabari Paschartyari Sutayani. Namo Mahabharanyaya, Krishna Prema Padayati Krishnaya, Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gvachache Namaha. Anandali Namaya Vigrahaya, Himabiri Prachapi Sundaraya. Tasmi Mahaprema Raspadaya, Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. So here's the English translation again. By his piety, Vidura achieved the advantages of the pious Kauravas. After leaving Hastinapur, he took shelter of many places of pilgrimage, which are the Lord's lotus feet. With a desire to gain a higher order of pious life, he traveled to holy places where thousands of transcendental forms of the Lord are situated. So, this the title of this particular chapter is Questions by Vidura. So, questions put by Vidura. Vidura was able to ask questions because he went out of Hastinapur, he traveled to various places of pilgrimage, and that alone is very, very significant here. Of course, those that he met, particularly devotees of the Lord, he was only looking for devotees of the Lord. So first Uddhava and then later Maitreya, and a good part of this Canto 3, involved questions and explanations, questions from Buddha, explanations by Maitreya Muni. So by his piety, Vidura is actually Jamaraj, a devotee of the Lord that always thinks about the Lord, but he's been given the thankless task of dealing with supervising the punishment of those who are impious people, who, when they leave the bodies, are taken by the Jamadutas, his assistants. But he wanted very much to associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. After doing this job, even we now, after working a particular job that we're not so crazy about, we look forward to going on some vacation, get away from it for a while, and then come back to it. So that's how Vidura wound up. This is a short end story. This involves Mandukimuni and cursing and so on, but then he wound up here at a very timely period, timely because that was the time that Krishna was also on the earth. So he came and associated with him. Krishna knew that that's what Yamaraj wanted. So he came as Vidura. And now he's associating with the Kauravas. Actually, the Arjun, Yudhishthira, all of them, they are Kauravas. But their father is Pandu, so they were called specifically Pandavas. And especially since Dhritarashtra and Duryodhana, they wanted to make a distinction between them. They're relatives. They're relatives. Just like the Yadu dynasty, they are all there. They're called one name. But because of dissension between the two parties, Dhritarashtra's children and Pandu, his brother's children, basically, that's his nephews. You still have this distinction between them. So they really were all Kauravas. The broad umbrella name for them all Kauravas. That includes Arjun, Yudhishthira, and all of them. Now, how did this situation occur? A situation where Vidura wound up leaving Hastinapur. Well, it was a situation that was very, very, very terrible. In that, well, I'll tell you what, Shamgo, you there? Shamgo? Pakistan? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Baba.
I'm just.
Sorry.
I couldn't unmute myself.
Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing. So this is what I can do with that, like that. That's a little bit more comfortable for me. So, Vidura has now left, and through his piety, he was born with the Kauravas. And then after leaving Hastinapur, he went so many places. And places of pilgrimage are described as the Lord's lotus feet.
Yeah.
Devotees, there's a link here, devotees offer obeisances when they come to the temple. We offer obeisances to the Prabhupada, to the Murti Day, we offer obeisances, we offer obeisances to the deities. And when we bow, we are automatically at the lotus feet of the personality we're bowing to. So here's the link. Visiting that place, the place of pilgrimage, they are the Lord's lotus feet. For the same reason that we come to the temple and we bow to the Lord's lotus feet. So Vidura was traveling and taking advantage of a situation that actually was unfortunate. And those are in the text before this one. The text before this one describes a situation that Vidura went to his older brother, Dhritarashtra, because Dhritarashtra invited him. And he wanted to have some consultation with his younger brother, Vidura. Dhritarashtra did. Vidura was very straightforward. And so he told Dhritarashtra, reminded him what he had done in the past towards the Pandavas, that this was not good, that he had agreed to the division of the land, and Indraprastha was for the Pandavas. So Vidura was telling Dhritarashtra, return it to them. After all, you did it before when they had the first dice game, and Draupadi was insulted, and when Dhritarashtra came to his senses, actually they had lost in the past by the bet, by the gambling at that time, the dice. But he still returned it. So it was obvious. Not whether we knew what the king's power was like, he had showed it the first time by returning Indraprastha to them. So it was not out of his power to return Indraprastha to the Pandavas as many times as possible if he lost it. The king could do that. But this time he was supporting his son, Duryodhana, for everything that he did. And Duryodhana was evil. So Vidura was telling Dhritarashtra, you have to return the legitimate share of the land to Yudhishthira. He has been crowned king, and then he reminded Dhritarashtra how much of a saint that Yudhishthira was. He has no enemies. Even how he's dealing with your own children that are against him, he's not dealing with you in any kind of negative way. People who usually are inimical to us, it becomes difficult for us to put our false ego aside and try to be nice to them, although we know they are inimical to us. It becomes difficult to do that. The easier way is to get angry with them or think negative things about them. That happens quite a bit. And I also feel justified because the reason is they are looking at us in a negative way. So it's like a tit for tat. But to go back to the spiritual world, we shouldn't do tit for tat. What we should do is think about the person in terms of a patient, a person who is mentally sick. You don't beat up sick people. Hmm? You feel sorry for sick people and you try to correct the sickness. So that's how the Buddhists are supposed to look at folks who are inimical towards them. Yudhishthira, for that reason, didn't have any enemies, even though he knew that Duryodhana, Karna, and Dushasan and Shakuni, they were all inimical to him. So Vidura is telling Dhritarashtra, his brother, you know what's going on. And then he basically reminded Dhritarashtra that one of the Pandavas, Bhim, is very upset about the things that's happened. And when he gets an opportunity to get his hands on any of you, he's going to tear you apart practically. Okay? And that is true because it's only Yudhishthira that was keeping his emotions bottled up. And they respect their older brother, Yudhishthira. Otherwise, Yudhishthira and Arjuna would have broken free and caused a lot of problems. But that's not how Krishna wanted it. So even if some things are against us, still we have to go by Krishna's plan. We act based on what the Shastra says to do and what not to do. Basically, we should always be looking at devotee etiquette the whole time. So Krishna is present with the Pandavas, and he also made it clear it's not like the Pandavas are favorites of mine. Those who are religious, those who are for the right thing, those I support. And so those who are acting demonic, I will punish or stay away from them for whatever the reason is and how things are unfolding, are going to unfold according to the will of Krishna. So because the Pandavas were righteous, he was with them. If Duryodhana was righteous, he would be with Duryodhana's people also. And obviously there would be no war anyway. But they weren't. So Krishna was with the Pandavas for that reason. And this situation now, Vidura went to specifically inform Dhritarashtra about offense personified. He called you an offense personified. And you're maintaining. But he's envious of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. You're maintaining a non-devotee. So that's why we have been warned in the 10 offenses, the 9th offense, we have to be careful to avoid talking to those who are against hearing about the glories of the Lord. The 9th offense, the 10 offenses, and that particular one, the 9th offense. Stay away from those. But how do we know? Sometimes the devotees are, because they're pious and want to bring people into Krishna consciousness, because after all, that's what's going to save them, get them out of this material world. We start speaking about Krishna. But then when the person gets into a long debate with us, and no matter what we say, it doesn't seem to be getting anywhere, that person is an atheist. That person is demonic. There's actually no difference between a demonic person and an atheist. A person who is atheistic is demonic, flat out. This is Srila Prabhupada, not me coming to that. Sir, he actually dramatized it. He said, sir, do you believe in God? No, you are a demon. This is how he put it. So this is the consciousness of the word. So Duryodhana was a demon, based on his consciousness and his actions. When the Pandavas were young, they poisoned with the help of Shakuni. They means Dushasan and Duryodhana. They poisoned Bhima and actually killed him. But the Nagas revived him and made his body such that even any more poison could not kill him. They did this. So Bhima died once, even when he was little. These people are demonic. So Duryodhana and Vidura, let's say Vidura is very, very straightforward, and he's fearless. He's fearless. So even if Duryodhana was hearing what he was telling his Duryodhana's father, Dhritarashtra, it didn't stop him from saying what he had to say. And so Duryodhana heard that and he became very angry. Hmm? Hmm. And then he started insulting Vidura. And Vidura, taking advantage of this situation, obviously he couldn't stay with them anymore. Duryodhana used very insulting words, this son of a kept mistress, degrading not only him, but even his family, his mother, and all of that. And he says, we are taking care of you, but you're turning against us. And then he says, toss him out of the palace and leave him with only his breath. Very, 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 very horrible, insulting words. But Vidura took advantage of the situation and left and went to places of pilgrimage. Sometimes as devotees, we also meet things or faced with things that are negative. What do? When those times come, and they come for everybody's life, sometimes it's just, what's left of negative things that we're supposed to face based on the previous life. Or sometimes the Lord actually is testing us. Negative things come. And we see that things are out of our control. We try to fix them, but we realize that a lot of things are against us. What do we do then? We have to pull closer to the Lord. This is not the time, because there's two things that we can know, devotees that are open to devotees. Stay away from the Lord, try to use material things to try to solve our problems, or get closer to the Lord. There were some people sometimes, and this is in this area, one particular Mataji who was living very, very wonderfully because her husband had a very high paying job. And then he got sick, and he got very, very, very sick, that the wife was a little concerned that she could lose her husband to death. And so it took a point, to cut a long story short, took a situation where we really had to counsel this particular Mataji because she was turning against Krishna. Krishna, this is the person that supports all of us, me and my two daughters, and now it's going to get to a point where we're going to lose everything. So he's thinking materially like that. He didn't die. He actually recovered. But she thought that way, and her faith in Krishna just went down for that. Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita, Name Bhakta Pranashati, my devotee will not perish. Every arrangement that he makes in such a way that the devotee is actually glorified, even if the situation unfolds in a way that looks materially negative. The devotee will be glorified in the end. But in this case, Vidura left and took advantage of having left the temple and left the duties of the prime minister to go to places of pilgrimage. That was a very, very, very smart move on the part of Vidura. So he took off and went to several places. And Srila Prabhupada speaks in the purport about some of the places that are, in India that are still there that we can visit. You see the Lord there. You see devotees. Sometimes there are rivers that are sacred rivers. We can bathe in those rivers. And as described here in the purport, we can have our sins freed by bathing in those rivers. But there should be more than just that when we go to those places. We should also get darshan from those who know the religious, for lack of a better word, history of the place and how it connects to Krishna consciousness, and hear from them. Janeshu abhigeshu sa eva gokara. Yashatma buddhi kunapeti dhatuke. Swari karata dishibo ma echedi. Yatete buddhi saline nakahichit. Janeshu abhigeshu sa eva gokara. And this is in Canto 10 of Bhagavatam, chapter 84, text 13, that it's being described that the person, Yashatma Buddhi Kunape Tridatake, who thinks that he is the mind and the body, this body made of Tridaka Vitavayu, because body and air, is himself. Sari Karata Dishiboma Ischiti, that he thinks that the family members are an extension of him, and his land of birth is worshipable. This is all of these material ways of thinking. Yateta Buddhi Salili Kahichit, a theater, a place of pilgrimage, like where Vidura went. They go to those places, they bathe in the water. Salile is water. They bathe in the water and they say, oh, my business is done. Rather than go to those who know, Janeshu or Bigeshu, those who know about the place and connect the place. Yes, you can get purified by the water, but that's not from our own power. When we understand something we're doing, because it's been explained to us, then the significance of our activities is more real to us. It's more significant. But some people go, they bathe and say, oh, now I'm done. I'll just go to some of the stores and buy a few mementos and then go back to wherever I came from. We need to hear pastimes connected with that place. So the end says, Sa, he, Eva, certainly, go is cow, Kara is donkey. So Eva go Kara. So if a person does not hear when they go to the place of pilgrimage, then basically this text says Sa Eva go Kara. They're just like some animal. In other words, their intelligence or their mind has not been fulfilled with wonderful Krishna Katha. That has to be there. And this is exactly what Vidura did. He went to those places, but he also talked to those who knew about those places. That's why, in fact, the title of this chapter is Questions by Vidura. Clearly, you can't ask your own self questions. You have to be talking to somebody and asking them questions. Therefore, he went in the places of pilgrimage, and for each one of them, he was asking. He was asking questions. So, a few examples. This is wonderful. Sri Prabhupada writes purport and gives this. It's so refreshing. Even if you haven't been to those places, it's just like he takes you there, literally. The Lord is present as Adi Keshava in Mathura. He's present, and that's very popular. Lord Jagannath at Puri. Jagannath Puri. And some of us who are not Hindi speaking, or at least based on the body, we're not from India, the Lord comes out. Even if we don't see him, he will come out during the Rath going to Gundicha temple, almost 2 miles, a little less than 2 miles, in the Rath. And by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, the Lord shows himself everywhere. He gives mercy to the whole universe. The Rath is so significant. I know the Philadelphia Rath is coming up next month. We're all looking forward to that. And the other day, we received an email from Madhuha Prabhu, who was the Festival of India, the one that dives around India around the country, North America, actually. And literally, practically every weekend, the Lord is showing himself. February in Phoenix, March in April. By the time we get to May, and I won't go through the whole thing, give a whole list of it. The beginning of May, Potomac, Maryland, then Jacksonville in mid-May, and towards the end of May is the Memorial Day Baltimore Rath Yatra. And then the beginning, Atlanta, with the Panihati also. And then at the end of the first week of June in New York Rath Yatra. And then they go to Halifax, then they go to Boston, and then they go to Parsippany, New Jersey. That ends June. And then in July, they're in Montreal, they're in Toronto, they're in Calgary, most likely they'll come to Harrisburg, because now Harrisburg is inviting them too. And towards the end, Richmond, Washington, then in August, Los Angeles. This is so, San Francisco, Ratiata, which is going to be this particular weekend. Then Vancouver, again, back up to Canada, mid-August, third week of August, they're still there. And towards the end of August, they're in Seattle, and then Philadelphia, which is September, and then they will go to do Thanksgiving Holy Name Festival at Alachua in November, because it's still warmer there in Florida. But all of these, even though we're going through a short list here, Lord Jagannath comes out in all of those places. And when devotees know Lord Jagannath, so they're very reverential. It's a wonderful festival. And if people go out of the way to donate money, donate the time, donate all kinds of things to make Rath Yatra a very memorable festival every year. But the thing about it is, Lord Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, when they come out, and non-devotees who don't know anything about Krishna consciousness see them, just by seeing them, if they were meant to go into some non-human body next life, that is canceled just by seeing Lord Jagannath, without even understanding who Lord Jagannath is. Some people do ask questions. Who is Lord Jagannath and why is his eyes so big? And then we just explain all the way up to the pastime, depending on whoever is being spoken to, the body, and how they understand the pastimes of the Lord. But by seeing the Lord gives mercy. That everyone that sees the Lord, if they're not going back to Godhead, at least staying in the material world, they will be in the human body. And that is very big, because the human body is the only type of body that has the intelligence to understand Krishna. Anything below that, animal body that is just living material life, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Everyone else, every type of body, and some other bodies, not even all of them. Look at the trees and how restricted they are, but they're also living entities. So we are fortunate to have the mercy of Lord Jagannath in all of these places. So even if we don't go to different places to the extent that Vidura went, we still can get so much by the Rath Yatra situation and serving as best we can. But it is, in fact, and this is humbly we want to tell devotees, because when they get vacation time, that it's best to go to a place of pilgrimage. It's best to go to a place of pilgrimage. In our lives at home, we go to the temple. When our place of the city or country, wherever we reside in, we go to the temple. That is an embassy of Krishna. Embassy of the spiritual world. Krishna, look. Embassy of the spiritual world. But when we go to these places, the places of pilgrimage, then we are going to be associating with a whole activity of pastimes involving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. That's why it's called his lotus feet. So places where he actually stepped on, lived there, the land he stepped on. So as much as possible, the devotees should stay away from going to different places that only have a karmi type of history, but go only to places of pilgrimage. Sometimes because of strong advertisement by these people, advertise some place in France and you'll see the Leaning Tower of Pisa and so many other things we talk about. And people get very, very curious. I want to see. One day, my Guru Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, was giving a class and started talking about all of these places of significance, quote unquote. People travel to go visit. When we're talking about non-devotees coming to visit. And by the time he finished, we were just rolling in laughter because he said people spend money to travel from their country to another country just to go see some monument that's there. And each one of them he mentioned, the Modis have been there already, but what's in that country? And they perform Harinam all around that area. In other words, come back to Krishna consciousness, not go see all those kind of places. The boys have already been there and distributed books and had Harinam and all those kind of things that we do when we go outside. But the way he was saying it's difficult for me to kind of imitate or mimic the way he said it. But he was so funny the way he was talking about it. But he was putting it down. Just be Krishna conscious wherever you go, just like Vidura did. So to see the Lord, we have to be very, very, very prepared to get purified. The rivers that we bathe in purify us, but the purification should be continued in terms of our own lifestyle. That is also very, very, very important. We can't bathe in that holy river if we don't live in that particular country every day. We may not have that opportunity. But one of the things that we can do is to maintain steady chanting of our japa, maintain listening to kirtan and bhajans and involving ourselves in them, maintain acting very wonderfully, nicely towards all devotees, being respectful at all times. These are the kinds of things that when we do, hearing, chanting, serving, and not being offensive to anyone, we get an opportunity to go back to Godhead. That is extremely important that we live our lives in that way. But associating with devotees and serving them, especially pure devotees, we gain an affinity, a likeness for hearing the Lord's messages, the Lord's pastimes. And that gets us excited. And there's one thing that's so clean that comes out of it. So many things that distract us. People talk about this type of sport and this. I know right now the Olympics are going on. But I was talking to my daughter last night, and I mentioned the Olympics, and she looked at me, smiled, and says, "Daddy, I'm not interested in that anymore." Then I said, "Good." But I was very happy to hear that. Oh, my first thought was, I'm not interested in that anymore. It means they're growing. Big things for karmis, after a while, the devotees may be connected to it just for fun. It's not more the passion, it's not more the ignorance watching, but transcendence is where we're interested in. And by being connected with Krishna consciousness and serving, she's become less interested. And she just told me flat out last night, I'm not interested in Olympics. I was very, very, as a parent, that makes me feel very good. Oh, okay, so they go in the right direction and their minds are focused on Krishna consciousness. So where we go to and where we associate with, who we associate with, will affect how we think. And so Vidura thought that he had been contaminated by being around Duryodhana because he was doing that job of being a prime minister. So for that reason, he didn't even want to associate with Krishna directly. Krishna came to his house, though. Krishna gives mercy. The Lord's like that. But he thought that he should go to different pilgrimage places, hear about Krishna from there, and get purified like that. At the end of the Kurukshetra war, he didn't in fact come back. But he came back to pull his brother and make him, now that everybody was dead, that he cared about, he could just listen then. He came back to do that. So Vidura's life, when he came, it was so significant. A lot of things that he tried to do to help their situation with the core of us is also very helpful in our own lives. We should be very, 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 very keen on hearing the wisdom from Vidura. And in these conversations, you will see that come through because that's the text coming up in this particular canto. So Vidura left home and went to pilgrimage places, the Lord's lotus feet. had touched all those places. So they called even the Lord's Lotus feet, those pilgrimage places. And let's take advantage of those pilgrimage places while we still have this body that is active. And in that way, get closer and closer to Krishna consciousness, closer and closer to being purified, closer and closer to being the happiest that we can be, because the more purification, the happier we become. And in that way, through Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we get to go back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So, whatever comments or questions that the devotees would like to make, we are an intimate group of 5.
Always nice class.
Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy.
It's a nice nectar morning. Yes, like Vidura, I wish I want to go to all the places, Prabhu. I don't want to stay in the house. But certain circumstances are not helping me. And somebody comes, my children come, when we come, we'll take you. But when will they come? They are in their own family affairs. They're just, they're swimming in the family things, They need to come out of that. Because their children are young. I'm done with all that.
Yes, yeah. You mean your grandchildren?
I feel I only pray Jagannath. I want to go to Puri. I want to go to Mayapur. I always think of that. But one thing, when I spent there, I had been to Puri, Jagannath. I did the parikrama inside that where the deities are there. So now every day, I think of those deities. I think of my parikrama, my heart, that is doing that. That's all. I'm mentally doing that.
Yes.
My body is here, but I'm doing that. That's what I'm feeling now. What can I do? Mayapur also, I had been there. Whatever little I saw in Mayapur, it must have been changed a lot. But whatever little I saw, I just still remember those things, those days.
Yes, the memories are very important.
They're sweet memories I have.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I want to go, but I'm not able to go. Mentally, I'm there. That's it. Mentally, I'm trying to do the parikrama there.
That's what happens. That's what happens because the body gets older.
Yeah.
And when the body gets older, we're so limited in what we can do. I'm going through that. Yeah, I'm going through that also. I mean, literally, I was just going to give up traveling altogether, but then I got a little bit more encouragement from Chandamali Swami. He just told me, where there is a will, there is a way.
That's it.
Yes, you have this, you have that, you have that, so many things.
God has to give me permission and God has to take me, that's all. I don't know, but mentally, I have all those sweet dreams, memories, sweet memories. So I just go through that. I'm done with that. I just ask my kids, I'm not that disabled right now. I can go, I can walk, I can do that. I know I can speak, I can take care of any language. I know all the languages. So that way I can manage myself if I go alone also. But they are not permitting me. They say no. I said, okay, whatever it is, then I don't want to hurt them.
Yeah, out of the love of a children for you, they just wonder, but if something happens to you, then and we're not around, then same thing is happening to me also. Here, my wife doesn't want me to go anywhere by myself. There was a program in Baltimore last Saturday, a week ago, and I was invited to give a lecture and also play, and they wanted my keyboard there to play. So I went. Why? Because my wife went with me. She said, you're not going by yourself. I have to go with you. Okay, so I went, and she can preach too. So she did part of the preaching. So that was good. Yeah, but out of the love, out of the care, they don't
Out
want
of
to.
love, they say that, but what am I saying? What is that love is dragging me back? I want to go ahead, I just want to see. But
Yeah,
then I'm not doing.
sometimes we think that we can do, and maybe we can do up to a point some things with this physical body, but because the physical body is older, it can in fact stop us at any time. Anything can happen at any time, and they know that. And that's the part that we tend to ignore. I mean, my body is working. It's not 100%, but it's working pretty decent enough. So I should be all right. I should be all right. The mind keeps telling us because we really want to go, and it's something connected with Krishna consciousness too. So it gives us even more excited to want to go. But I think when you look at it, the reality of it is the intelligence to say, yeah, they're right. They're right. The body, if I was much younger, 20 years younger, they probably won't think twice. Yeah, okay, we'll see you when you come back. And the thing is, the body is slowed down. So now they have
Anyway,
to be what to do.
whatever God permits will happen.
Yeah,
But you know
yeah,
what? At the same time, we say that don't worry about your body. Is that right?
yeah, yeah. They do say that, but we also have to protect the body so we can serve more until our last breath. So
No.
that is the other side too that we need to consider. Hare Krishna.
Anyway, Prabhu, whatever.
Hare
God
Krishna.
permits. But
Any
thank
other?
you very much for see that like Vidura says, now you don't feel for your family
Mm,
and don't encourage them anything, but just go for pilgrimage, get out of the house.
yeah.
That word always I think also.
Some things you'll be able to do. Some things you'll be able to do. We'll just arrange so that a member of the family who is there at the time that you come. Then
Mm.
just keep a watchful eye, and that's all. Then we go on. But at the end, we go back to Godhead, and this body won't be restricting us on any
But like I
activity.
said, and I just feel I have that sweet memories, and I feel like that I am doing the parikrama for Jagannath there. I
Yeah, we
feel that.
can
Exactly.
we can do mana seva, service with the mind. That's also there. And
That's all.
especially when the physical body can't do much or is restricted because of old age or disease, mana seva is very, very, very important for us to resort to, which is what you're doing now.
Yeah, that's all.
So, yeah, that's good. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Goes to Srila Prabhupada. Any other comments? You can unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Nice
Hare
class.
Krishna.
Very nice class. Thank you very much. And
Krishna's mercy.
I like the purport also. The purport was very nicely written about all
Yeah.
the Tirth Yatras and the.
Oh.
I want to go to this pilgrimage. I want to go, but I don't want really get feel pressure, because if God wants, then everything can happen. So I don't want to feel pressure. I want to go, but if God is going to help me, it will be possible.
Well, we'll see. This is the time when we all get up there in age and the body is not doing so well. But that's Krishna's reminder to us. We are being reminded that, again, the body is temporary and the path that we're in is a path that takes us back to the spiritual world, away from the material world. Now, this is for my own self-purification and a reminder also. Because my body's also gotten older now in the 70s, and it doesn't do half the things that it used to do 20, 30, 40 years ago. So, but it's a reminder that we should prepare. That time will come when, Krishna will be ready to receive us in the spiritual world. That is the time if we prepare like that. And so this material world, there's some things we will have to disconnect ourselves from because the physical body can't really do it. And the mental service, the mana seva is what we got left, and then we'll be able to go back. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
and I'm very happy these days because I'm learning so much from so many things. And Bhagavatam, from Shloka from Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and all the Goswamis, their life, and so many things I'm learning. I'm feeling more happy now than I was before.
That's the advantage.
It's a
That's
treasure,
the
like
Yeah, when the body slows down, now you get the books, the Pure Prabhupada's books and lectures. Now you hear more of it, and you see now you're getting more. That part of it that when we were using our physical bodies more actively, we didn't have time to hear all of that. Now that's coming into play, and we're becoming actually a more well-rounded devotee. Having done the service, and now the mental part of it also is being spiritualized by hearing.
Especially,
Yeah.
especially I feel happy
it is
for
purifying,
Hmm.
very purifying.
Yeah.
this Bhagavatam class, Zoom class, especially thanks to that. I always morning, I just enjoy that. My
Yeah.
day starts with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's wonderful. And to think that this is all became so prominent because of a pandemic.
Mhm.
yeah.
the,
Zoom is a
the
great blessing.
the materialists, they suffered through this and didn't really gain much. Some people lost their businesses and so, but Krishna consciousness, we now can meet all senior devotees from all parts of the world. Basically,
Yeah.
we can see the image and
And
hear
then
them.
that is what Krishna's message to us said.
Mhm.
You sit in the house and listen properly and pay attention to that Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
enough for you.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's what
Yeah.
I'm thinking all the time.
Yeah. We've been fortunate now because of
We are
electronic.
fortunate.
Srila Prabhupada said this, that and this is in the 11th canto Bhagavatam, chapter 8 to the end of chapter 7 to 8. The Avadut Brahman and the 24 Gurus. This is the story that was being explained. And the Avadut Brahman, now we understand, is actually, well, they said it's Dattatreya, the Lord that actually became this Avadut Brahman. But he explained one thing that Srila Prabhupada one time used. And the first time, it was a morning walk, and I heard him speak like that in the video. And first, I didn't understand. But now I know, now that the pandemic has come and now we're using Zoom to the extent we use it. He said that the Avadut Brahman learned from the snake. And the whole thing involving the snake is the snake does not have a home. The snake lives in a hole in the ground, but he can't make a hole. The snake cannot dig a hole. The mouse or the rats, they can dig a hole. So they dig a hole thinking that that's their home. They're going to live there. But they also
Snake
know,
was there.
yeah, they know that the snake can come for them and eat them. And so they they make they dig a hole so that it's one end, and they dig all the way through and have an opening on the other end. So it's like they make a curve like that, a hole here and then down to the ground and then back up to the out. So wherever the snake comes, if it comes from the left, they run away from the right and get out. If it comes from the left, they run away from this and get out to protect themselves. But the thing is, they make the hole, and the snake comes and then lives in it. So Srila Prabhupada's point with that particular Avadut Brahma's description of snake is that we didn't do this whole thing about electronics, about Zoom. Hmm? The mouse did it. The Kami and non-devotees did it. And they had a purpose for doing that. Hmm? But now we just take it and use it for Krishna consciousness.
That's true.
Like that. So he says, let them keep making it. Whatever they come up with, we'll see how we're going to use it, for association. Hmm? Now we can do electronic association so easily. Yeah, I'm sitting in Harrisburg. I can be heard anywhere, including Philadelphia, anywhere. Hmm? So yeah, that was the mouse that did the work, and the snake just took it and using it. That's all. Hare Krishna.
So there are a lot of things are there, Prabhu, unknowingly that even animals does that and they listen to. And we think they don't know, but they're teaching us some of the lessons.
Yeah. But a lot
And then
must.
mouse makes the hole, but snake lives in there. That's not
Yeah.
her permanent house either. That's not mouse permanent house either.
No. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Nothing is permanent in the material world.
He took all the difficulties and he makes the hole, and then the snake comes and royally she lives
Yeah.
there.
So we just click a few buttons and we're on Zoom, and basically we don't even pay anything. We just take it and use it. That's all. But for
Thank
Krishna
you very much.
consciousness, too. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Any final question or final comments? If not, then we'll stop here. Thank you very much. It's always nice to associate with you. Thanks to what the
Thank
mouse.
you very much for the nice class, brother.
The electronic mouse. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhasya
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
namo namah. Shri Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.